G'day guys and gal, there are some seriously grumpy people out there that just seem to hate absolutely everyone for no apparent reason. Are they just really angry people? No, they are actually worshippers of the chaos god Malice. That's the only explanation that makes any sense at all. Malice, which was the retconned name of Malal when GW lost the rights to Malal, is one of the obscure but very much still canon chaos gods. The chaos god of hating everyone's guts and wanting to kill everyone, both chaos and imperial. Malice managed to actually acquire his own Space Marine chapter / warband, who execute his will and are powerful enough to survive in a galaxy that hates them with every fiber of its being, so I think that should net them their own video. Before we get started, some of you are probably wondering what we're doing over at Dice Dioramas. Well, wonder no more, as I'm happy to unveil our next incredible handcrafted diorama, that being our Dungeons and Dragons inspired Watchtower attack diorama. Yes, it's a bit different from the usual programming, but if you like Warhammer 40k, then you probably like dragons breathing fire and shit. This diorama was also our first ever resin pour, and the switch to turn on the dragon firelight is literally this big ass stone Excalibur thing. It's easily the most advanced, detailed, and awesome diorama we've made. Why am I showing you this? Well, Dice Dioramas is a company I partially own where we give away Warhammer and dioramas to our members. Members also get access to exclusive discount codes at partner brands, special offers, access to a private Discord community, and more. If you're only keen on the diorama, then picking one of 6 membership tiers will automatically enter you into the draw. However, if you want to increase your chances further, you can buy some membership boosts, even as a non-member, to increase your entries. This diorama is absolutely breathtaking. We even got exclusive STLs to print for it, from Arc Villain Games. The next diorama will be Warhammer related, and it will be insane. And to be honest, I don't expect too many of you to enter into this one, so if you do like Dungeons and Dragons, you probably have a better than expected chance to take this bad boy home. Today we'll go over the Sons of Malice, detailing how they fell into the clutches of their unique god, how they're still alive, and what they actually do. Now let's get into it. The whole Malal Malice thing has been a weird part of Warhammer's lore for some time. Early Warhammer fantasy heavily featured Malal, even giving him his own champion in the lore who interacted with some of the main characters. It was interesting because Malal was a chaos god, but was hell-bent on fighting against chaos, leading to situations where the forces of order and chaos would team up to fight chaos, something that doesn't really happen anymore. However, GW learnt a valuable lesson in copyright and IP laws, as did you know that when you get a contractor or freelancer to create designs, art, logo, or anything creative for your company, they actually own it, unless you get them to sign it over. Hence, many companies put stipulations in their contracts which specifically require all assets created by the contractor for the company to be instantly owned by the company during the duration of them working together. GW did not do this, hence the contractor who created Malal decided to keep it when he left, which in my opinion is just a bit of a dickhead thing to do, but alas, he was gone. However, GW didn't want to just lose their interesting chaos god, hence they created Zovasin and Nechacho, I have no idea how to say that, 2 minor chaos gods to fill his shoes in Warhammer Fantasy. When it came to 40k, they created Malice, which is Malal in all but name, even featuring the same color scheme for his followers. Now, was there a connection between Malice and the Dark King? After all, both of them were chaos gods of ruin, just as eager to annihilate the pantheon of chaos as they were to destroy the rest of the galaxy. Even their demons were a similar vibe, Samus looking like this, and early illustrations of Malice and his demons looking like that. Well, as far as I know, no solid connection has been made yet. However, when the Emperor released the Dark King from his essence and banished it into the warp, he didn't kill it. So it's not too crazy to think that without a host, the Dark King still managed to materialize in some way in a significantly weaker form, over the course of 10,000 years or so, which is why Malice has only really appeared in the current setting, just before the 13th Black Crusade. That's all theory though, a bit of fun, so don't think about it too much. But who are the Sons of Malice? Well, their chapter's original name was struck from the records, but what we do know is that they were a loyalist Space Marine chapter who were one of the 20 chapters tasked with guarding against the Eye of Terror, intercepting any chaos forces that tried to leave the Eye and raid Imperial space, as well as quell any chaos uprisings near the Eye caused by close proximity to the Eye. These chapters were known as the Astartes Praeses, with each of these chapters being founded specifically with resistance to chaos being in mind, as they knew they would be tempted more than your normal chapter. To be fair to the Sons of Malice, they didn't mean to fall, nor did they want to. They had developed a peculiar but not particularly unique post-war ritual, a sacred ritual which, yes, probably looked pretty fucked as it involved cannibalism, a lot of voodoo shit, and some things that definitely look a bit chaosy, which was then unfortunately observed by an Inquisitor who was a bit of a Puritan, which means anything that looked dodgy must be crushed. Now, this is kind of bullshit because many other chapters, including highly celebrated ones, also take part in these kinds of celebrations. The Mortificators are openly cannibalistic and wear the skulls and bones of their enemies on their armor. Many Blood Angel successors engage in similar rituals of drinking blood and human sacrifice, with the Revenant Legion, the original name of the Blood Angels, being infamous for eating surrendered enemy combatants openly openly. So this heresy wasn't even a big deal. It also didn't necessarily spawn from Chaos influence directly. The recruitment world that the Sons of Malice took from was a tribal world full of tattooed cannibals, extremely similar to the Mortificator's homeworld. It's just unlucky that the Inquisitor who saw the Sons of Malice was such a douche, as they then proceeded to attack the Sons of Malice with a full force of Sisters of Battle and Guardsmen during the ritual. Now the ritual does create a savage blood haze for the Space Marines, so there was no chance for them to surrender or try to reason, hence they butchered the Inquisitor and their force, getting declared traitors as a result of this. Now yes, it did seem like the chapter was already within the clutches of Malice, even without knowing, but it also seemed like Malice was content for his chapter to stay loyal and use the loyalist resources to fight the traitors. Now before declaring them traitors, the Imperium knew that the chapter was a huge asset and that the unfortunate circumstance may have been a mistake, so to prove themselves, they ordered the chapter to perform a 50-year-long penitent crusade. Basically go off, fight in some of the hardest battles in the galaxy, and if they survive that for 5 decades, they are cleared of wrongdoing. It's not quite a suicide, but it's not far off. The chapter master, Cathal, stated, "We have done nothing wrong, we shall not do penance to any," and refused. He allowed the Imperial envoy to leave in peace to tell the High Lords of his decision. Now often the Imperium can overlook things or take forever to deal with stuff. However, with this issue occurring close to the Cadian Gate, it couldn't be ignored. Hence a retribution fleet was swiftly assembled and deployed, forcing the Sons of Malice to flee into the Eye of Terror, their homeworld getting genocided in the process. They now hated both the Imperium, who they saw as betraying them, as well as Chaos, who they were created to fight. In the Eye, they raided and slaughtered other Chaos warbands, taking their gear and even their heads as trophies. They also became warped and much closer to their god, who sent them visions and instructions. They had no allies on either side of the war. However, the ship they escaped their homeworld on had mutated into a massive space hulk, becoming a behemoth of a warship and very difficult to fight. Likewise, since the chapter had the undivided attention of a Chaos god jerking them off, they were very powerful. Now Malice's ultimate goal was to materialize in real space, something that likely will end badly for a lot of people. However, there is a lot of ceremony, ritual, and effort that goes into something like a Chaos god popping up to say g'day. So to summon Malice, a specific ritual must be performed, called the Challenges of the Labyrinth. Every 100 years, the chapter gathers together and sends a team of volunteers into the depths of their ship to try reach an exit portal. The chapter was told that whoever reached the exit portal would join Malice and become one of his chosen warriors in the warp, which is kind of the case, but not really. In truth, only one volunteer could ever reach the finish at a time, at which point a team of Astartes were waiting to grab them and put them in stasis. Then once 11 doomed ones, as they were called, completed the challenge, 11 being Malice's sacred number, they would all be sacrificed and Malice would be summoned into real space. The chapter is up to their 11th ritual in the current setting. Now at minimum, this has taken them 1,100 years and cost them the lives of dozens and dozens of their best warriors. Any warrior who survives the trial but isn't the first to reach the portal gets trapped down there and mutates into a dark creature, which then battles future Sons of Malice who do the trial. It's unclear if Malice will appear as a gigantic space monster that can swat entire fleets, or he will just have a powerful avatar, like a juiced up greater demon, that can lead them, or if he will just empower the chapter and materialize via them. The motive for the chapter is to gain the strength needed to retake their homeworld, which has been their goal for a very long time. In fact, they are so eager to reclaim it that recently they agreed to join forces with Abaddon for the 13th Black Crusade, firmly placing them on Chaos' side of the conflict. They made their mark, engaging a large Cadian force who would escape the fall of Cadia. Since it was the Cadians who performed the genocide of the Sons of Malice world, they had a score to settle. The Cadians fought hard but were losing, especially as more Chaos warbands poured into the system. They could not be saved. However, a larger Imperial fleet arrived, carrying more Cadian survivors as well as a Space Wolf strike cruiser, which took the Chaos warbands by surprise. The Chaos forces were decimated and the Sons of Malice retreated, leaving a big chunk of their warbands stranded on the local moon. All of those warriors were hunted down and killed. The Imperials would go on to wage a campaign to clear the entire system of Chaos forces, succeeding in their task and knocking the Sons of Malice out of the setting for now. I don't believe they were destroyed or anything, they just got clapped and fell back. The next time we see them, I believe it will be when they perform the ritual, creating an epic boss battle for some cool Imperial heroes to have to deal with. Would be an absolute waste if not. The lore does seem to indicate that the ritual has actually been performed and that Malice has been summoned. We just haven't seen the result of that as far as I'm aware. Feel free to illuminate me in the comments below if the lore has actually progressed past that point. So yes, the Sons of Malice and their god are very much canon, with the most recent mentions only being a few years ago. I for one am extremely curious as to what summoning a Chaos god into real space entails, and I'm also pretty shocked no one is acting like this is a big deal. But we will see. It would be pretty nuts if Malice was indeed the echo of the Dark King. If you enjoyed the video and you want to support the channel, then join Dice Dioramas for your chance to take home the epic D&D Dragon Attack diorama. Hit the subscribe button, hit the real subscribe button for more copyrighted content. Join the Discord for more memes and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.